Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope all of you would be doing well. I welcome you all on this first orientation class of ATX for orientation class of ATX for this September 23 exam session. Before I start the discussion on ATX, like the main agenda of ATX, first of all, I like to highlight on certain things. First, I like to highlight who should attempt ATX, like who should be attempting or appearing for ATX. So, many of the students are confused which optional paper to opt. So, I am here to address at the moment initially this concern, like who should attempt ATX, and secondly then I will have introduction of the ATX, and then we'll have some insights about it. So there are three main reasons to attempt ATX. The first main reason to attempt ATX is if you want to pursue ICW, then ATX is a mandatory thing, or if you are working in tax department, be it UK tax or any other jurisdiction of tax you are working for, so ATX would be a good booster to your professional career. And even those who are qualified, who have already have their ACCA membership but is still working in somewhat tax department professionally, they should at least attempt ATX, because it is something which gives them a flavor of how the advanced taxation or how at strategic level the tax concerns are considered. And third, most importantly, who are good in tax. So those who are good in TX, taxation, they should attempt the ATX, because one thing I share with you based on my own professional experience, like while applying for job, normally the question asked is what is your ACCA status. That's not the question, which papers you have attempted. So first try yourself to qualify, to enhance your status of ACCA. Once you have enhanced your status of ACCA, after that time think about whether it is relevant or not. So for example, if you are good in TX, you have attempted a good score in TX, you carry a good concepts in TX, but you are, for example, working in risk advisory or financial advisory, you don't want to be working in tax, then in such situations what I advise is, rather than attempting any other paper and keep your attempts continued, it's better to attempt ATX, get your ACCA clear, pass out your ACCA, and if you feel like you are not professionally up to date with your relevant job role, then you can attempt any additional paper, like I was advising on this point for non-TX related students. So yes, you can do that, like qualify with ATX, then attempt any other of your relevant papers. For example, if you're working in risk advisory, you should attempt AFM. If you're working in audit, not attempted audit and assurance, you should attempt AAA then. Okay. Those who have already attempted ATX and this is their second exam setting, just want to share some insights further with them. ATX is basically a lot changed with respect to examination, with respect to the paper format since last attempt. So last attempt was the first attempt, this would be the second attempt, and the key changes in ATX exam which takes place in last two sessions are, I'm including this one, March as well. So that is, the paper is divided into two broader areas. One is like technical, second one is professional skills, and third one is like for technical. There are two sections in the paper. One is section A and another one is section B. For section A, that would consist of only one question, whereas section B would consist of two questions. One is question 2, one is question 3, two questions. For section A, there will be 40 technical marks in a question, only one question. 10 professional marks and the total of 50 marks. For question 2, 20 technical, 5 professional, total of 25. Same thing goes over here, 20, 5 and 25. So if I look over here, there are total 80 technical marks, out of which 20 professional and total becomes 100. Now, if I were to further analyze, further divide this thing from one different analytics perspective, if you look ATX paper now consists of professional marks 20, technical marks 80, and interestingly in this technical marks section there are further 5 marks on ethics and rest of the 75 marks are text related. What message you get from this analytics, from this analysis of the paper, the change in the paper format? Just to share with you, previously there were only 4 professional marks and rest all of our technical marks, which obviously includes the ethics marks as well, up to the 5 marks, but rest all were the technical marks. So why this change happened? And interestingly, this change is not only happened in the ATX universe, this change happened across all of the professional exams of ACCA. In fact, ATX is the last paper to adopt this. For rest of the exams, for example, SBR, AFM, AAA, APM, for all other papers, this happened back in September 22. So what ACCA is approaching towards, like, while answering your question, you need to plan more, give more focus, emphasize on the professional marks along with the technical marks. So this is something which examines, which assesses your technical knowledge. But along with the technical knowledge, you should know how you have to present the information, how you have to portray the information. That is another very important aspect of the professional life, of the professional accountants, which ACCA is working on, and due to that fact, this change is happened. So giving you a bit relaxed time for technical marks, giving you more time to think than to write. So you need to focus more on quality as compared to quantity now. Moving forward, so this is basically the syllabus, the paper division. Now let's have some more insights on what is about professional marks, how to gain professional marks. For professional marks, ACCA assesses basically 4 skill set. Basically the 4 skill set is examined on account of this professional marks. What is that? What is that 4 skill set which ACCA asks or expect the students to present? The first one is basically the demonstration of number 1, communication. Number 2, it is basically analysis and evaluation. Number 3, it is skepticism. Number 4, it is basically commercial acumen. Now, what do you understand from communication? What is expected from communication? Communication is your answer should be precise, relevant, to the point. You should use the format of report, memorandum, email, whatever you name it. So anything which is part of your communication skills. So under this skill set, you need to demonstrate that you possess the communication skills. Analysis and evaluation. What do you expect? What examiner is expecting from you under this radar? So under the analysis and evaluation, you are basically expected to show your analytical skills. For example, out of 1 to 3 options, option 1 is best. Why it is best? Because of ABC reasons. Option 2 is not beneficial. Why not beneficial? Because of XYZ reason. So this is analysis and evaluation, and based on this, so either put up pros and cons of 2 options, for example, provided, and concluded. So that is basically the analysis and evaluation. Skepticism. What is skepticism? Skepticism is basically challenging the information. Challenging doesn't mean that, for example, if someone is telling that I am a boy and you challenge him, for example, no, you are not a boy. So it's not a skepticism. So skepticism is basically think critically what information is missing, what information further we need. Or for example, if any particular information is given, whether that information is supportive of the financial numbers provided. So that is the skepticism which is expected in the ATX. Commercial acumen. So what is commercial acumen? Commercial acumen is, while advising, do take care of the commercial practicalities as well. So just to share with you, submitting tax on time is important, but at times if you are suffering from a cash flow difficulty, probably you can delay the tax payment, but on the other side you have the consequences of delayed tax submission. So commercial acumen is analyzing the cost benefit analysis, whether it is good to delay the tax, whether it is not good to delay the tax, stuff like that. So that is all part of the commercial acumen which you need to demonstrate. Just to share further one more insight with you on these lines, Section A will examine all 4 skills, whereas Section B, this will examine a combination of professional skills. Obviously, a combination of professional skills which are given in the question, which are relevant to the question. That's obvious, right? But just to highlight one thing, that this commercial acumen, this will not be examined in Section B. So under Section B, there are only 3 skills which you need to demonstrate. 1, communication, 2nd, analysis and evaluation, and 3rd one is the skepticism. So these are the only 3 skills which you need to demonstrate. Before I talk further about these professional marks or any other paper format related discussion, I like to have some words on this area. The technical marks, 5 marks on ethics. In the tax universe, there is no change in ethics. So ethical principle remains the same: integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, and professional behavior. So ethical principles remains the same. Threats to your ethical principles: self-interest threat, self-review threat, familiarity threat, advocacy threat, intermediation threat. Apologies if I'm wrong, like I don't like this theoretical discussion, but have to do. So again, these kind of things not changed over here. The principles remain same for all of the professional accountants. These 5 ACCA code of ethics would remain same. So what change over here? So the change over here is basically at time of audit, you need to take care, you need to adhere with these ethical principles, you need to mitigate these threats in the capacity of auditor. For example, as in SBR, for example, you need to take care of these ethical principles in capacity of, for example, CFO or finance director. But here in ATX, you need to adhere with these principles and try to minimize, try to reduce the threats in capacity of a tax consultant or tax advisor or tax partner. So this is the thing, like again, just capacity to think is changed in ATX with respect to the ethics, else nothing changed in ethics. So majorly the similar concepts which you have recently learned which you would have recently learned in your audit related paper. That's the best which I believe guides you about this, right? So if there is any feedback so far, please do let me know. So no feedback so far, I assume. Perfect. Let's have some specific discussions on this. To Roshan, yes, this understanding is correct. So commercial acumen skill will not be examined in section B. Okay, let's have some more discussion, insights on this advanced taxation. I hope you recall at least the name of the topics from your TX times, where the major areas of the syllabus were income tax, for example, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, value added tax. Good to hear this. Corporation tax. So these are the broad 5 areas of the syllabus, right? Income tax is majorly same, but it has some new concepts plus some more depth in some of your existing areas. For capital gains, I would give a same comment. It is majorly same. It has some new concepts plus more depth in certain areas. Whereas if I talk about inheritance tax of ATX is like 50% of ATX IHT. So the IHT which you have covered in TX, that's basically comprised of the only 50% of ATX IHT. So it means I would not say majorly same. Rest is new areas. So there are a lot of new areas plus more in depth in existing areas. In VAT, for example, that's again, majorly same. Having said that, there are some new areas as well, because that's majorly same, right? So not exactly same. Some new concepts, nothing is exactly same, just to share with you. Everything has more in-depthness in it. Then corporation tax. So corporation tax is mostly same, but it has some new areas plus a lot more depth in your existing areas. So that's the fact. Like, in addition to all that, there are like some new taxes which are not part of that, but that's part of the ATX, some new taxes, or you can say new concepts. And just to share with you, in your earlier times of TX, you would have studied the concept of residency. Can someone share some light on this residency point? Like, what was that residency? What was that residency? Can you, like, so for residency, we need to assess a residency status of a person. If a person is resident, he has to pay tax, income tax, capital gains tax. How to determine residency? Residency is determined via, for example, how much time, that's good, how much time person lives in UK, he was resident, not resident, stuff like that. But in the TX, we just need to assess whether the person is resident or not. And by default, the only understanding by that time is, if a person is resident, he has to pay the tax. If a person is not resident, not supposed to pay the tax. No third point, right? But over here, we need to ascertain, for example, I am Qunber Raza, I live in UK, I am UK resident, for example. If in case I have some overseas income as an out of UK income, am I supposed to pay tax in UK or not? For example, if I have any kind of gains outside UK, whether I am supposed to pay tax or not, or if I am a UK guy and I dispose of any kind of asset out of UK, or I earn any income out of UK, am I supposed to pay tax on that stuff or not? So that is basically, you can say, the overseas aspects of individuals and companies, both. So I'm not restricting myself to individuals. So that's basically, and believe you me, this is one of the favorite area of examiner. So that is like, and myself also. So honestly, I really enjoy this topic because that's very interesting. Along with this, along with the residency concept, there are certain anti-avoidance legislations. Now, what is anti-avoidance legislations? Just to share some thoughts, some pointers with you on this anti-avoidance. So, do you guys understand the difference between tax evasion and avoidance? So, what is tax evasion? What is tax avoidance? Do you guys understand? Do let me know at least. That's correct. Like tax planning is legal and evasion is illegal. That's perfectly fine. You know, tax avoidance is legal. Tax avoidance is alternatively it is called as tax planning. That's not illegal, right? But honestly, tax evasion, tax authorities really don't like because it saves my expense, but it other way around impact the revenue of tax authority. That's why HMRC really don't like the tax avoidance schemes. So to combat with certain tax avoidance techniques, they come up with the anti-avoidance legislations. Like these are the legislations which are purposefully built to combat with the tax avoidance schemes individuals are following. That is also one of the very interesting and very favorite area of the examiner. I'm not restricting myself to these only two, but these were the only two which I want to highlight. There are others as well. Like I said, I'm not restricting it to these two only. There are others as well. There are some new concepts as well, which are part of the ATX syllabus. So that's basically the introduction of the ATX syllabus. Now I'm heading towards the last discussion, which is how we will be approaching, what's the planner, how this September 23 session will be executed for you guys. So before I move on to this discussion, I can see a question, what is the technique for learning the text rules? There are a lot. To Samuel, yes, I agree. There are a lot of text rules which has to be memorized, and the only way to memorize, so no one can memorize them, honestly. The only way to memorize them is, point number one, practice as much as you can. Second thing, make your own notes, make your own summary. The quantity you write, that will become more easier you to memorize. So it's better to make your own summarized version of notes, so that would be easier for you to remember, that would be easier for you to memorize. And once you make your own notes, do use them while solving the exam kits, while solving the questions, and do practice the questions as much as you can, as much as you can. I hope I answered your question. Now, how we are approaching this session? Will it be a good decision to go for ATX after claiming exemption in TX? So just to answer your question, Roshan, yes, that would be. So there is no harm in doing that. And in fact, and previously, I have some of my students who have not studied UK TX, they have studied their local version. For example, I know one person who studied, for example, local India TX and was appearing for ATX in UK, similar for the case in Pakistan and some of other countries as well. So that's not practically impossible, but yes, I agree on one point. Probably such a student, and if you're talking about yourself, you need to practice probably 50-60% more than the student who has attempted TX, because she has the basics of that, but you has to learn the basics as well. So probably you need to practice a bit more, but that's not impractical thing. Okay. Approach for September 23. how this session will be approached, what's the approach of this session, what is in my mind for that. So what is in my mind? There are pre-recorded lectures which you have to cover. There are certain pre-recorded lectures which you have to cover. Secondly, I am planning to keep a class live on Saturday. Basically, this last live class would be to discuss the Q&A. I will be sharing a schedule which has to be followed. And this schedule will be supporting me, in the Q&A element as well. So for every week we have a dedicated topic specific Q&A session where I will be guiding in advance what type of which topic we will be covering in which class, day wise, but you have to cover your lecture for that thing. And if there is a small Q&A, by the way, if a small Q&A, then we can move on the question practice as well. If time allows to solve the questions, we'll do the practice questions as well. So this is the approach which is in my mind for this September 23 session. Before I share the schedule, if there is any feedback there, if there is any question around this, please do let me know before I move on towards the schedule, or you can say the planner which is in my mind. If there is any, so mocks are there to Fatma, the mocks are there. We have the revision classes in schedule as well. So inshallah we'll be conducting both. You're welcome. So any further question, any further feedback? If no, so as a last thing for today, I like to move towards the schedule, towards the planner. No? Perfect. So let's look towards the planner. So this is basically the planner which I advise you guys to follow. I hope that is readable to all of you, and if not, do let me know so that I can zoom it out further. That is readable, right? Samuel, let me answer your question shortly. So for week 1, week end date, topics to be covered. So you are supposed to cover, for example, capital gains tax in your week 1. We will be scheduling the class on 1st July, 9 p.m. PST. All timings are in PST. In the week 2, you need to cover inheritance tax. Class will be on 8 July, class time 9 p.m. In the same way, by 14 July, you need to cover this. Class would be on this, class time this. In the similar way. So by 18th August, you need to cover all of your ATX syllabus. So keep some gap, and then we will be scheduling your revision classes, your exam question practice classes. Date has to be decided, time has to be decided. But one thing I like to share, like that would be this revision classes would be somewhat like approximately on average 15 marks plus minus sometimes. So that would be on average 15 marks, 15 hours, sorry, not marks. And just to share the last thing with you, your exam is on 5th May, sorry, 5th September 2023. Samuel, yes, the whole of this PDF will be shared with you. So that's not, so that's basically for you guys, so not for me mainly. So we'll be sharing with you shortly, for sure. Nothing to worry around. But keep one thing, remember, I like to emphasize on few of the things. Please follow this schedule religiously, properly, because if you do not follow this schedule, you make a mess with this schedule, what happens is your end date will eventually move forward. If your end date will move forward, this will move forward. But this is something which is non-movable. So you will get a very lesser time for your own practice, which is an important aspect. So to maintain time for your own practice, you need to cover it up as quick as you can. So that's why I'm like, you guys end up at 18, we'll keep a query session on 19. A week's time, we'll schedule the revision classes with you guys, we'll share the timelines for this. So this is something which I'm planning to proceed with this. Now, any feedback from this, do let me know. Roshan, I would highly encourage this kind of thing, and you can take this thing in. You can take up this thing in the WhatsApp group where you would have been added, I assume, and if not, you will be added. So you guys can connect over there, and I highly suggest, I highly advise to make a study buddy, for example, so that to have a synergistic benefit from each other. That's a very good question, Fatma. So when we should start the exam kit, unluckily with the ATX, the problem in the exam kit is not topic specific. So it's not only capital gains tax, it's not only inheritance tax. So it's a mix of a lot of area. So you guys can solve certain topic specific questions with me, but for rest of the exam kit, probably you would be able to do once you are done with the sizable amount of the topics, not any one topic or two topic, rather sizable amount of topics. Like approach should be, yeah, that's a very relevant question. Approach should be, the first you should cover the lecture. For example, you are done with capital gains. Step 2, along with the capital gains, at least at a bare minimum level, do cover all of the test your understanding, illustrations, examples from the study text. Once you are done with the study text, then obviously that would take a week's time. Put your queries with me in this class, put your queries. And once done, then I can guide some of the specific questions relating to capital gains tax with you guys to solve. But major, so that would be a minor portion of the exam kit which you will be able to solve along with the topics. Major portion is like integrated. For example, one question of exam kit would contain questions from a portion from capital gains, a portion from inheritance, a portion from income tax, and last portion from VAT. So due to this diversity in questions, that is difficult to attempt most of the questions along with the topics of in ATX, and that not limited to ATX, throughout the professional exam, because in the professional life at one point of time while taking a decision, for example, we are not only supposed to consider one aspect only, we need to consider multiple aspects. So that's why the professional exams questions are structured in a way where you need to think about multiple aspects in one scenario, in one question. Samuel, I do not recommend to use the old exam kit. I highly encourage, I highly advise to use the updated exam kits. Just for reference, we will be sharing the updated exam kits with you, the PDF version. I don't mind sharing in a shared drive with you guys. So do drop me a WhatsApp or a message in your group in which you are added, ATX group. I will share the link of the shared folder. That's a relevant question, Roshan. I like to request the same. If anyone has the link for the group, please do share with me as well. Because I believe so, I don't have this right now at the moment. If not, so at least do drop me a WhatsApp or message at Facebook, whatever you decide how you can connect with me. I will get it done in a day or two and will share with all of you. You are most welcome. Anything further which any one of you, for sure, Roshan. So probably those who are registered, they should start immediately. Those who are not registered, they should look for how to get it done so that you guys can start, because ATX from a book perspective, from a syllabus perspective, is one of the lengthiest syllabus, one of the thickest book of ACCA. So it's already like, if I'm not wrong, it's already 24th June, 24th is also gone. And if I target this date, so that's not even complete. That's more of a like 2.5 months you have. So already a very little time. So yes, let's start on this. Technique for studying ATX. So that's a good point. Technique. So like I said, first you should cover. So let me mark it. What's the technique? So first, lectures, then test your understanding, examples, illustrations from textbook. This is the second. Third is your exam kit, and which is like preferably both, like Kaplan, BPP, both the exam kits. So this is the technique which should be followed, and again in between if possible, make your own notes, because if you make your own notes, that will enhance your memorization. That will enhance your memorization. That's it. So I'm done now. Anything further? I love to hear. Else, goodbye from my side. If there is anything further, please do let me know. Anything you want to ask, you want to clarify? No, nothing. Perfect. So thank you from my side. Take care of yourselves. Have a good night today. Bye. Thank you.